All right, today we're jumping headfirst into the absolutely wild world of mergers and acquisitions. We're talking about billion-dollar deals, where, believe it or not, fortunes aren't just made or lost on the sticker price. It all comes down to the fine print. So let's get right into it. So here's the billion-dollar question that's at the heart of every single one of these massive deals. How do you actually buy a company without accidentally buying all of its hidden, messy problems? I mean, how can you be sure what you're really getting into?
Well, the answer is all about a shift in perspective. You've got to stop thinking about it like a simple purchase and start seeing it for what it is, a seriously complex piece of architecture. And the M&A lawyer? They're not just a lawyer. They're the chief architect. And their job is to design a structure that can take an incredible amount of pressure.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at the deal's legal blueprint. Then we'll dive into mapping out all those hidden risks. After that, we'll see how the safety net gets engineered. And finally, we'll talk about what it's like to actually live with the deal. All right, let's start at the very beginning, with the foundation. We're talking about the deal's legal blueprint. You see, a huge acquisition isn't something you just sign on the dotted line. No, it's meticulously designed, kind of like a skyscraper, where every single bolt and beam has a crucial job to do. And that is exactly what we mean when we talk about legal architecture. It's the framework that holds the entire deal together. You know, the valuation, the governance, all the risk. And the stakes are incredibly high. Get just one clause wrong, one tiny detail, and the whole economic reason for the deal can just fall apart. And just imagine what this legal architect has to build with. It's not just the main sale agreement. Oh no. They're juggling and weaving together all these different elements: corporate law, complex tax rules, competition regulations, and even super specific industry obligations, all into one solid structure. It's a massive undertaking. So let's make this real. Take a big energy deal in the UAE, for example. The rules around foreign ownership, they weren't just some boring paperwork. They were hard, non-negotiable limits. The legal blueprint had to be designed so that all the government approvals lined up perfectly with the closing date. I mean, if they were off by a single day, the whole thing could have just collapsed. Poof. Okay, so the blueprint's drafted. What's next for our architect? Well, now they have to go inspect the building site. And that brings us right to our second stage, mapping all those hidden risks. This phase is what we call due diligence.
Now, I really want you to understand, due diligence is so much more than a checklist. It's really a risk extraction process. The best way to think about it is like a deep forensic X-ray of the company you're thinking of buying. The whole point is to find every single hairline crack before you own the problem. So what do they find with this X-ray? Well, here's how they map it out. The lawyers will build a risk matrix, and they're looking for bombshells. Things like, is there a key supplier contract that says they can just walk away the second the company is sold? Or, and this is a nightmare scenario, what if you discover the company doesn't even own the code to its main product? Each of these risks then gets a price tag, a grade based on how much it could cost you down the line. Okay, so the risks are now all laid out on the table. It's time to start building some protection. This moves us right into our third stage, engineering the safety net. And the architect's main tools for this are warranties, indemnities, and disclosures. Now, this is so important to grasp. These three things, warranties, indemnities, disclosures, they aren't just separate clauses you copy and paste into a contract. Not at all. In the hands of a skilled legal architect, they become a single, interconnected system. It's engineered with incredible precision to manage the exact risks that were uncovered during diligence. So let's walk through how this system actually works. Okay, step one, due diligence finds a problem. Let's say a potential fine for some environmental issue. Step two, the buyer turns to the seller and asks for a warranty, basically a promise that this problem doesn't exist. Step three, the seller knows it does exist, so they can't make that promise. Instead, they have to formally disclose the issue. And that disclosure directly leads to step four. A custom-built indemnity is created, where the seller promises to pay for the exact cost of that specific fine. And just like that, the risk has been perfectly contained and allocated. It's brilliant. And let me tell you, the precision of the language here is everything. A seller might try to slip in something vague, like, well, so far as we're aware. That is just, it's a huge red flag. It's incredibly weak protection for the buyer. A sharp lawyer will immediately tighten that up to something like the actual knowledge of these 5 senior managers after they've made specific inquiries. You see the difference? It's the difference between a leaky bucket and a watertight seal. It's massive.
So the deal is finally signed, champagne corks are popping, but the architect's work, it's not done yet, not even close. And this brings us to our final, critical section. What is actually like living with the deal and the reality of what happens after closing.
This, right here, is the ultimate stress test for that legal blueprint. All those brilliantly crafted clauses and systems, now they have to survive the real world, the messy reality of daily business, of trying to merge two companies, and of course, the inevitable arguments that are going to pop up.
See, a really well-designed deal actually expects conflict. It plans for it. It builds in something called a dispute escalation ladder. So first, the parties have to try to work it out themselves in good faith. If that doesn't work for something technical, like an accounting issue, it goes to an independent expert to decide. It's only if there's a major legal battle that it goes all the way to formal arbitration. This whole structure is designed to save everyone a ton of time, money, and to keep the business relationship from completely blowing up. And it's not just about putting out fires either. After the closing, the real grinding work kicks in. You're managing claims against those warranties, often with very strict deadlines. You're making sure the integration plan doesn't break any rules. And you're constantly making sure the seller is actually sticking to all the promises they made. And really, this quote just nails it. The whole point of this entire architectural approach is to get away from lazy, generic, boilerplate contracts. The goal is to create a framework where every single risk is sniffed out, analyzed, and then allocated with forensic accuracy. That's the key. Which really leaves us with a pretty provocative question to chew on. You could have an amazing company, a fantastic asset, but if the legal structure of the deal is a mess, it could end up being totally worthless. On the other hand, you could have a so-so asset, but with a truly brilliant legal framework, it could become a gold mine. So it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? In these complex, high-stakes deals, is the architect actually more important than the building?